You know what? Sometimes we're all not at home. Some of us have to go work in an office. Some of us have to go to school. Wouldn't it be nice to play top tier games, in study hall? Maybe at lunch. All your friends would love to play Halo, but do you really want to be an Xbox? Well, you don't have to. You can use cloud gaming. But is it any good? Is it really the future? The CMA has blocked the Activision Xbox deal on the basis that cloud gaming was the future. This was argued by Google and Sony. I thought cloud gaming was pretty much dead, but it seems like Google still wants to bring it up, even though Google Stadia failed. So, with my free month of Xbox Ultimate Game Pass, check out that video above, I thought, why not give it a shot and see if it really is the future? Everything in our life is moving to the cloud. Most people have their photos backed up Google Photos, iCloud, some even still have Dropbox. Now, most productivity softwares want you to use some type of cloud software. Microsoft has moved Office to Office 365. Google Docs, Google Sheets, the whole Google suite, it's in the cloud and many schools are using it. So I'm not shocked that, people are starting to think, hey, gaming's going to move to the cloud, but are we ready? How does cloud gaming work? Well, through a service, phones, tablets, computers, other devices can access the games off a server. These servers act as a virtual console or even a virtual PC, and it allows systems that tend to be weaker to play more intensive games. It also allows the gamer to try out more games. They don't have to, pay the extra money. They don't have to store a physical copy. They don't have to take up a lot of room on hopefully an SSD by now. Please don't be using hard drives too much. That I know they're not dead, but hey. So I'm choosing Xbox Game Pass because it's free. I used 3 different devices to test out Xbox Game Pass Ultimate cloud gaming services. I used an old ThinkCenter, I used an old Lenovo ThinkPad, and I used my primary cell phone, my Samsung Galaxy S21 FE. I chose older hardware for a very specific reason. That's what cloud gaming is meant for. It's one of its primary benefits is to take older hardware that can't play intensive games and allow it to play intensive games. So let's check them out. Okay, let's start with my Samsung Galaxy S21 FE. This is my primary cell phone. It's actually what I'm shooting this video on right now. It's what I take everywhere. Now, the Xbox app was easy to download, logged right in because, Game Pass just jumped on my Microsoft account. Boom, easy. I chose to play Redfall. Now, this is not a review of the game. I know a lot of other YouTubers have said their piece, and you should probably listen to them right now. First thing I had to do to play the game was connect a controller. Now, I don't have one of those controllers that connects to it, manually. I used a regular Xbox controller through Bluetooth. I had to attempt to pair it twice. First time it didn't work is because it is the original controller that came with my Xbox Series S. The Xbox Series S was on, and this controller, even though I have never used it with the system, was still paired to it, and it tried to update the controller. This might have caused the problem that I had to attempt to connect it again. It did try to update, and the second time it was successful. The second issue I had was I was playing it flat on a table, and playing down like this strained your neck, so I had to find something to prop it up with. Luckily, I have a phone stand. Easy enough solve. The third issue, and I can't believe this, I was connected to my Wi-Fi. I have a strong connection. Everything around me was connected, and it just kept disconnecting, even though it showed that I was connected. So there was that connectivity issue. Screen did look great, but for me, the screen is too small. And I don't feel like these games were designed to play on these smaller screens. They were designed for larger screens, TVs, Now computers, monitors are quite large, so that is something that does need to change for mobile gaming on the phone is connectivity and basically these games knowing how to play on a smaller screen. But I do have bigger screens and I have more things to test, so let's move on to the ThinkCentre. The next device I tried was the Lenovo ThinkCentre. It has an i5 4590. It has 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is pretty standard these days, and it had an AMD Radeon 430 R3 with 2 gigabytes of VRAM. Now, I expected the bottleneck to be the GPU. It is an older GPU, and it's still kind of hard to find a decent low-profile GPU, even with ones that are brand new, like the GT 1030, basically kind of same for these purposes. But the bottleneck really wasn't the GPU. I took this up to Ethernet, since there's an Ethernet port here, and games ran surprisingly well. I was playing Forza Horizon 5, and you know what? I've been playing a lot on this computer. It runs great. The only issue I had with graphics was that the VRAM cache, it filled up, and that's just an easy fix. I restarted the computer and it was perfectly fine. So this is a great setup for cloud streaming. Ties in to an Xbox controller easily, and this is really the purpose of using software off-site to play top-tier games on lower-end hardware. So yeah, this was a great experience, but it has a major problem. It's not mobile. If I wanted to stay stationary, I'd pay the extra for a decent gaming computer. So let's take a look at the laptop. The laptop I used was the Lenovo ThinkPad Edge. It is quite a few years old. I think it's going on 10 years old. So definitely an old laptop. It's something you would find in schools all across the United States that, got beat up a lot, but it's a Lenovo, so it lasts and you can find it. It was using Windows 11, which I'll get back to later. It rocks an M30 380 i3 core processor. It has onboard graphics and 8 gigabytes of RAM. Honestly, as a daily driver doing just basic tasks, this is a great computer. If your kids or you just need something that's cheap, solid, and will actually last, it's this. It's this laptop. It's way better than Chromebooks. So I feel this is a great representation of what people use because it's better than the low-end stuff that you might get at Walmart or off Amazon. This is just boom, what you expect to get things done. Now, I was pleasantly shocked by this computer because the graphics weren't horrible. They were not horrible. When I've tried to run games natively on this computer, and I've even tried old games that came out before this computer was made, and it should handle the graphics, well, it didn't do it well natively, but the streaming service, it did work well. They were very playable, which really did shock me because, the old saying, does it play Crysis? Well, Crysis wanted Intel Core 2 Duo, and this has an i3. It should have worked. But yeah, the Xbox Game Pass, streaming off the cloud, it worked great. Now, the problem I had was connectivity again. It runs on Wi-Fi, this laptop, and this is kind of on me. So Windows 11 is not supposed to be stored or run on older hardware, and I used the trick to install it. I wanted to see what it's like, especially since a lot of people will probably be doing this trick a little later on. Windows 10 is going away. And so Wi-Fi wasn't giving me great connection. Bluetooth wasn't giving me great connection. So obvious answer, plug in an Ethernet cord. Well, because Windows 11 doesn't support this laptop, when I put in the Ethernet cord, the system immediately shut down. I couldn't really test it that way, and that is kind of the biggest problem there. And I see being a little bit tougher moving forward with cloud streaming is the fact that Windows 11 doesn't work on older systems, and that's what you kind of want to give to, say, a kid or not really spend a lot of money. So that was a huge disappointment. But again, a better gaming experience than doing it natively. So I was so pleasantly surprised. Is cloud gaming the future? Yes, yes it is. But to get to that future, a lot of hard work needs to be done. Luckily, we are in a portable gaming renaissance. More people want to play, and more devices are coming out that we can play mobilely. We have the Steam Deck. We have the ROG Ally. There's rumored PlayStation Portable. More and more come out, and it just doesn't have to be the Switch anymore. Nintendo is not the king of mobile gaming, which is great for gamers. But there are major issues that need to be addressed, and the biggest that needs to be done before all this becomes, day-to-day activities is fixing our connectivity. Unless you have an unlimited data plan that has good range, the most amazing Wi-Fi, wherever you are, you need a tethered connection. You need an Ethernet cord for this to work. It is a lot of data going over the internet. Wi-Fi fails. Data plans, it doesn't really work that well. So the tethered connection needs to be fixed so that we can play mobilely, because that would be the main reason to do this. A smaller problem is controllers. I use my Xbox controller, connects through Bluetooth, but it is clunky. It is clunky. And I know there are controllers that attach to phones, but as far as I know, most of them need, frankly, a charging port to connect through. And that's going the way of the dodo. With, the EU mandating Apple go to USB-C, most companies are going to drop it. So here nor there. But I do have hope for the future. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is reasonably priced. Steam Link is reasonably priced. More and more people playing games. More and more devices are coming out. We will need a way to play these library games without purchasing them, taking up all the space, whether it be on shelves or on SSD. We need, most people can't spend that money. And this is probably the best solution I've seen so far. But you can take my word for it or not. I would suggest you check it out. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So I hope you found this informative. I hope you liked it. Check out my other videos. And you made it to the end, which means you're an amazing person. We love you. Bye.